It was against this backdrop today that Governor Palin 2.0 made her debut. The governor pledging that despite Senator McCain's promise of a spending freeze on everything except health care, the military, veterans programs, and entitlement spending, some more exceptions have followed as well, that despite Senator McCain's record of having voted against increased funding for the Americans with Disabilities Act at least 18 times, a McCain-Palin administration would shift billions of dollars to programs for children with special needs, children like her infant son, Trig.
And in a McCain-Palin administration, we're going to put the educational choices for special needs children in the right hands, in the hands of the parents and the good responsible caretakers. Under reforms that I will lead as Vice President, the parents and caretakers of children with physical or mental disabilities will be able to send that boy or girl to the school of their choice, public or private. In a McCain-Palin administration, we'll also fully fund the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Finally, it will be fully funded.
Where would they get that money? Why, it will be redirected from the dreaded earmarks, of course, like her bridge to nowhere.
You've heard about the bridges, and you've heard about some of these pet projects that really don't make a whole lot of sense. And sometimes these dollars, they go to projects having little or nothing to do with the public good. Things like fruit fly research in Paris, France. I kid you not.
Except there's nothing to kid about in the work being done at the University of North Carolina, which is not in France, where by studying fruit flies, researchers have discovered that a certain protein is required for nerve cell functions to form and function properly, a discovery that may lead to advances in understanding autism. Now, Governor Palin's first policy speech just happened to fall on the same day she and her husband Todd also gave depositions in that second investigation into her firing of Alaska's top public safety official. Pure coincidence. She and her husband testifying in St. Louis in the so-called Troopergate investigation into whether she abused her powers by firing the public safety commissioner after trying to get her former brother-in-law kicked off the force. Richard Wolff, also, of course, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
All right, how could they let Governor Palin go out and mock research that has identified a genetic indicator for autism? Who was stupid or insensitive enough to let that happen?
Keith, I'm going to be as restrained and measured as I possibly can about this, but this is the most mindless, ignorant, uninformed comment that we have seen from Governor Palin so far, and there's been a lot of competition for that prize. Fruit flies aren't just to do with this kind of research. They are a standard scientific model in genetic research, along with a whole range of other organisms and cells, including mice, rats. I mean, there's nothing fluffy or funny about it. It's scientific research, and if you deliver your first serious policy speech and you make this kind of basic error, you either don't have a scientific advisor or you don't have a speechwriter who knows what they're saying.
Plus, we switched over from dinosaurs to fruit flies many, many years ago. The governor should have known about that. The much-hyped McCain spending freeze comes back into the picture because of what Governor Palin said today. It left out, to begin with, defense, veterans programs, health care, entitlements. Then they added NASA and science spending, worker retraining. Today she adds special needs education. When is this definitionally no longer a spending freeze of any kind?
Well, unless you deal with defense and entitlements, you're ruling out such a vast proportion of the federal budget that it becomes kind of meaningless. I mean, it's politically effective. I don't think there's any question that the whole earmark battle has actually been a reasonably good one for McCain, but not only the exemptions, but the basic strategy just doesn't speak to the economic crisis. So spending freeze or not, people are still going to be worried about their jobs and their homes.